Hello and welcome back to Big Mouth. The Clayne Crawford lethal weapons situation is some of the most bizarre situations you'll ever see in the entertainment industry. So those of you who don't know who Clayne Crawford is, he played Martin Riggs, the same character Mel Gibson played in four lethal weapon movies. Clayne Crawford played him for 2 seasons in the new TV show. Then he was sacked. Why was he sacked? Clayne was sacked because he could no longer work with Damon Wayans. The situation had become impossible. But we need to clarify what happened. What happened was Clayne directed an episode of Lethal Weapon. Some kind of shrapnel from a fake gun went off. I think it just missed or hit Damon Wayans on the cheek. He wasn't happy. He refused to shoot for the rest of the day. But also there was another situation, an AD, an assistant director who couldn't quieten the set around the set. So you got your main director and your AD, your assistant director. And one of the assistant director's jobs is to make sure you've got silence on the set. Now, he couldn't manage this. And in the end, Clayne Crawford, who was directing the episode, he erupted at him. He shouted at him. It got a bit ugly. He does admit now that he probably should have just gone into his trailer, calmed down, and come back again. But why I'm making this video is because I think this is a despicable situation. Because Clayne Crawford shouldn't have lost his job. No, absolutely not. I saw a video of Clayne Crawford on his friend's YouTube channel explaining the situation. And I've never been so disgusted in my life. You see, I've always been the first one to stick up for Warner Brothers, whether it's television or film. I have a loyalty towards them because most of the best films I've ever seen have been made by Warner Brothers. Same with the TV shows. Peter Roth, who's in charge of Warner Brothers Television, played a pivotal role in Clayne Crawford's exit from Lethal Weapon. You probably know that Lethal Weapon's 3rd season premiered with a new actor playing a different character. They've killed Martin Riggs off now. I haven't seen it. I refuse to watch it. So you're up to date basically. So Clayne Crawford was on this YouTube channel and he spoke very honestly and I believed everything he said. He spoke about the incident with the assistant director, which the audio was recorded, and every single person, according to Clayne, on the set had an audio recording of this, and they were actually blackmailing him with this audio, saying he didn't behave himself. If he didn't do what they wanted to do, then it would be released and his career would be over. When they sacked him, they released it anyway. Charming. But this goes beyond Peter Roth and Warner Brothers Television. The person who instigated the sacking of Clayne Crawford was Damon Wayans, his co-star. Now, I've always had a great admiration for the Wayans family. They're a very creative, talented family. They're a big deal in Hollywood. So if it was a choice between Damon Wayans and little Clayne Crawford, who came from independent films and independent television, there was only going to be one winner. Clayne Crawford again explained a situation with Wayans that I've never heard of in this industry. I work in this industry here in Cyprus. You've never heard of me because I'm not a big deal. I'm not a big, Hollywood guy or a British TV guy. I'm here in Cyprus. But anyway, getting back to this. According to Clayne, Damon Wayans used to refuse to do read-throughs. Read-throughs is when the script's complete and before you shoot, everyone's there doing the read-throughs and you've got your executive producers, your network heads, everyone's there. It's a very big deal. Well, Damon Wayans was too good to do that, so he didn't do it. Now, after all these incidents, and I want to tell you something else as well that I saw in this video, according to Clayne again, he said he was followed around by security after the incident for weeks and weeks, like he was a danger to everyone or something. He also had to do anger management. Clayne explained that although in the olden days, or back in the past, you could be a bit aggressive vocally when you're directing, Hollywood is a different animal now. And people have become, well, they don't like to be shouted at. It's changed. It's not the understandable form of communication when things are not going well. But what you've got to understand is a movie set or a TV set, or even if you're on location, and they were on location when it all kicked off, by the way, it's a very stressful environment. Forget the behind the scenes and the bonus features you see, where we love each other and it's all lovey-dovey. That's not the reality. Hollywood and studios like to paint a kind of friendly kind of fiction, but that's not the truth. The entertainment industry, especially in Hollywood, is a cutthroat business, and they will sell their own grandmothers to sell a narrative. But let me tell you what shocked me about this situation, how public it was. Now, it all started with an article, I think it might have been in the Hollywood Report or something else, where they were claiming Clayne Crawford was about to lose his job. Now, I remember this day because I was about to watch the latest episode of Lethal Weapon. I did not believe the story. I said, there's no way they're going to sack Clayne Crawford. He's the star of Lethal Weapon. I mean, his name's on the billboards and the buses and the adverts. It's him we're going to watch. They sacked him. He found out on Twitter, by the way. Very classy. You see, in this business, it's about who you believe you can afford to lose. And they believed that they could afford to lose Clayne Crawford. But the reaction they've had ever since has been deafening. Because many people have sworn not to support Lethal Weapon. Now, I can't wait to microwave my popcorn and find out what the ratings are going to be. Now, it could go either way. People could have come back to watch this. The young guy they've cast is very popular. He was on American Pie. I forgot his name. But this is wrong. This is so wrong. What happened to Clayne Crawford was outrageous. He also claimed that he asked his co-stars if they felt he was in the wrong, and that if he's living in a bubble and he doesn't understand. They replied to him saying, we know it's not your fault, we know whose fault it is, but he's untouchable. Damon Wayans is untouchable. But there's more. Clayne Crawford again claims that Damon Wayans never wanted to be in Lethal Weapon. He approached Peter Roth, the Warner Brothers television head, about his own idea. Peter Roth then said, that sounds good, but how about Lethal Weapon? Clayne Crawford said that in the coming days when they started shooting, Damon Wayans seemed miserable and unhappy to be there. It was a very difficult situation. Even times where Clayne claims that he had to rewrite scripts and had to take charge of what was going on set. Showrunner Matt Miller was hardly ever on the set. Now, I can tell you, and Clayne said the same thing, this was very odd. Now, normally it is quite odd. I know that Alfred Gough and Miles Miller and the main producers of Smallville were kind of based in LA, while the shooting of Smallville used to be in Canada. So that's a bit different. But normally your showrunners are there, because what happens is when you're directing an episode, you need to refer to the showrunner so you can get things kind of right. But Matt Miller, someone I kind of thought, was different to how I perceived, because I just can't understand a showrunner who's barely on the set. And maybe Matt can kind of come and talk to me about this if he sees this video. I doubt he will. Maybe no one will watch this video, but that's cool. I'm used to talking to myself. I like my own company because at least I agree with myself, right? But going back to Clayne Crawford in this situation, it was the public premise that this fallout was on. I've never seen anything like it. Normally, these things are kept behind closed doors and they're sorted out and no one ever knows about it until 20 or 30 years' time. But this was so public. So, Damon Wayans on his Instagram had a picture of him and Clayne with their arms around each other. I think he called him a brother or something. We belong together, or something like that. The next day on his Instagram, he rubbished the man. He threw him under the bus. Explain to me how that even makes sense. Clayne believes that it's Damon Wayans who leaked the headline about him possibly losing his job on Lethal Weapon. The more I learn about Damon Wayans, the less I like him. I want to speak directly to you, Damon, that you cost a good man his job. The problem with Clayne Crawford is he has standards. And when you've got standards but everyone around you hasn't, you're in a bit of trouble. Because it gets frustrating. It's like me. My mum's really elderly. She makes a mess. I get frustrated because I like everything nice and clean, especially in the kitchen, for hygiene reasons. And this is what happens. You get frustrated when people don't have your values. And this is what happened on Lethal Weapon. Here's a young guy who, by the way, refused this role 5 or 6 times, and Peter Roth and Warner Brothers or whoever was coming after him wanted him desperately to take this job, and they stalked the guy. They wouldn't leave him alone. And then they go and sack him because of one incident. One incident. It's Damon Wayans who should have lost his job, not Clayne Crawford. But this is the injustice of the industry. He's the weight behind him. He's the so-called legend. He's the one who comes from a legendary family. And this is the problem. And now Clayne Crawford's career is over in a puff of smoke because one not very nice person has thrown him under the bus. Is that fair? Whatever happens now, Clayne Crawford can't work in this industry again because no one is going to come out and side with him. But there was one wonderful lady who did. Hilary Burton, the ex-One Tree Hill alum, and she played his girlfriend in a couple of the episodes, if you remember. She came out and said Clayne Crawford was nothing but a gentleman to her. Showed her around, a good friend. Hilary's also married to Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So, you know, she keeps good company, if you like. But his castmates never came out to back him up. Now, Keisha Sharp, who I absolutely adore, who plays Myrtle's wife, Myrtle aka Damon Wayans, I think there was something going on between her and a Lethal Weapon fan. He was calling her out. And then Clayne got involved and commented as well. And then, or something happened, and she goes, look, Clayne, you know what I think of you. And he goes, yeah, it's just a shame you never publicly said it. Or something along those lines. I mean, sometimes you just, I think you have to be fortunate on Twitter to see these things or you miss them. But I was fortunate because I want to see that. But I don't blame Keisha. I don't blame Keisha because she wanted to keep her job. The other guys and the other girls wanted to keep their jobs. But they liked Clayne. There's no question about it. But they couldn't back him. That's life. You have to survive. It's sad that they couldn't come out and be heroic and back him publicly, but they would have all been sacked. Apparently, the people who worked on the set, about 70% of them, or 70 of them, were sacked. 70% of the people who worked on Clayne Crawford's episode that he directed were sacked. Imagine that. Clayne Crawford on his YouTube channel said these were the best people who he's ever worked with. You see? So this is the kind of gentleman you're dealing with. And they sacked all of them because they backed Clayne Crawford. It's like when you watch a TV drama or soap and they kill someone and they want to bury them under a patio and they want to hide all the evidence and then they frame someone. Clayne Crawford is the patsy here. Clayne Crawford's the patsy because Warner Brothers Television and Peter Roth believed it was better to get rid of him than Damon Wayans. What my mind is now is that they can still salvage this situation. They can keep the new guy they brought in and remove Damon Wayans. It's easy, isn't it? Now really, a Lethal Weapon without Murtaugh or Riggs sounds ridiculous. But Damon Wayans needs to look at himself. I know he won't. He won't care. For me, he comes across as a diva from how Clayne Crawford explains it. Clayne Crawford wouldn't have come out and said these things. But Damon Wayans came out in an interview and said lots of things and threw him under the bus. Clayne's handled this situation very well, with maturity and respect, with no histrionics. But at the end of the day, when you're encountered with a guy like Wayans, who thinks he's the big I am, and I think they discussed this on this YouTube thing as well, how maybe Damon felt he wasn't getting he wasn't the main person on the show. It was Clayne. It was Clayne that everyone wanted to see. We love Murtaugh, of course. Without Murtaugh or Riggs, you can't do it, as we'll quickly find out with this new series. But I think he felt he wasn't the main star, and he was just playing a character that, in a way, was a sideline character, a comedy, kind of a comedy character. And they did make him kind of the comedy act. And if you watch the films, Murtaugh has elements of comedy, but he's quite a serious guy. He's a serious character, and he takes his job of being a cop first and foremost. It's the most important thing, and he's a family man. I loved what Damon Wayans did with Murtaugh personally, but now I find out this stuff, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting that this man came out publicly and threw a colleague under the bus. And you know what? What's very interesting about this? Yesterday, my time zones are different to yours in America. So I would say about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe that's morning where you're from in the States. The Lethal Weapon Twitter page, the Lethal Weapon Writers Twitter page, and Keisha Sharp were busily tweeting, "Don't forget to support us." Keisha Sharp even tweeted, help us with this negativity, bring some positivity. Because she's talking about Clayne's fans. They know they're in trouble. But instead of cancelling the show, they're going through this routine, which they know they can't survive, but they're trying their luck. Clayne Crawford, I'll repeat it, was treated disgracefully. He should still be there, and Damon Wayans shouldn't. It's a sad situation. We are not there. We don't know the whole truth of the situation. I've just decided to believe Clayne Crawford, because really, no one's disputing what he's saying. How Warner Brothers Television and Peter Roth acted towards Clayne was disgusting. Clayne also discussed how when he was trying to direct this episode, certain elements went wrong. He tried to connect with Peter Roth, and he just said to him, "Clayne, you wanted to direct," and that was it. No support whatsoever. This is Warner Brothers, for crying out loud. What was going on here? It's ridiculous. The reason Clayne got the directing gig is because he wanted to leave, because of Damon Wayans' behaviour and the way he was conducting himself. It was impossible. So they begged him to stay. Even at the beginning of season 2, Wayans apologised for his behaviour in season 1. So there's truth to what Clayne's saying. But he went back acting the way he was, moping around, acting like he didn't want to be there, not turning up to the read-throughs. How can you work in those circumstances? Could you? I couldn't. When I'm on the set, and I've chosen the people around me very carefully, because yes, there's bust-ups, of course there is, it's like a family. But you can't have one person who thinks they're above everybody else making waves, because everyone should want to make the best product possible. Not think they're the big I am, they're royalty and they're better than everyone else. And this is what's happened with Wayans. And he's cost a man his career. And one day, Damon, you're going to wake up and you're going to realise you threw a good man under the bus. And what for? You're still on a show you don't like. You're going to treat this lad like you did Clayne. And maybe you'll cost him his career. How many people have to lose their careers because of you? This situation is despicable. And the thing that disgusts me the most, as I said, is how public it was. How they were arguing on social media. Who is it? Michelle Michener, who plays the female copper, who blatantly took Wayans' side. I liked her performances too, but she comes across as not a very nice person either. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this industry is full of not very nice people. But Clayne Crawford can be proud. He's conducted himself the right way. He may never act again. He may never direct again. But we, the fans, respect you, Clayne. We respect you because you were an absolute gentleman to us the way you spoke about Lethal Weapon and your respect for Mel Gibson, and how you knew this was a big job. He didn't think this show was going to get past the pilot, but somehow it did. A lot of that was because of his hard work, his work ethic, and his personality he put in the character of Riggs. So, Clayne, I hope one day you'll be back on television. But I repeat, what happened to you is disgusting, and I will never watch an episode of that show again. And neither should you.